Thanks for tuning in. So, the past few weeks, I've been doing this show from a chair sitting down, and that's totally not my style. So, got me out of rhythm, and it just did not feel right. So, I like standing up, doing stuff, talking. I have severe ADD, so it really helps to move around and get going on stuff. So, tonight, we're going to be cooking together, and we're going to be making a new recipe that's not on the website yet, and this is a stir-fry recipe. And I've already gotten some great ideas on how to modify stuff, so thanks Liz, and she gave me some good info. She's a new XGym member, and Crystal's also a new XGym member. She gave me some ideas for this too. So we got some great people at the XGym that have really good ideas that are culinarily gifted. So it's really nice to hear those. And remember, my email is pj@xgym.com. So if anybody has questions, whether you're watching this show live or whether you watch it recorded later, email me questions. I love questions, and I love to answer questions because I can give new answers that you probably haven't heard before based on the latest scientific research. And that's what I do. I'm a researcher. So I learn stuff every day in the research. And as I'm doing the cooking tonight and this new stir-fry recipe, I'm also going to be talking about the food and about some research and things, that I've been learning this week and stuff like that. So we're going to get started, and the first thing that I'm going to do here is prepare the pan. Oh, also, you can chat me your questions right here in the chat window. And so type in what you want to know about fitness and nutrition. I can see the screen from my kitchen, so I'll see somebody that has chatted in something, and then I can pop over and read it and then talk about it live too. So I love that. That's my favorite part. So please feel free to chat. It doesn't have to do with what we're talking about. It doesn't have to be on the topic of the stir fry. It can be anything about fitness and nutrition. Just let me know and we'll chat that. All right, so the first thing I'm going to do is put the ginger tamari sauce, if you can read that, in the big old huge pan. I love big old huge pans and big old huge bowls. You can see my big old huge pan. Look at when I hold it by my head, and I have a really big head. That's a really big pan. I love really big pans. This holds more than a wok can hold. So big stuff. And I'm going to be putting everything in this really big stainless steel bowl. How big is that? Yeah, that's big. So now the other thing is, you got to keep in mind, I make a lot of food when I cook because I make it for a few days. And I do enjoy cooking, but I enjoy other stuff more. So I try to get it all done and get it all out of the way and make it just a ton of stuff. So it looks like I'm cooking for an army, but it's really just for me. I eat a lot of food. I'm actually eating 4,000 to 5,000 calories a day, and I'm only working out an hour or less per week. And that includes cardio and it includes weights. It's just because of these protocols that I've developed at the XGym that make it way more efficient and way more effective than traditional training. So it saves a ton of time. And we'll talk a little bit about some of those protocols while we're cooking here too. It's just going to be kind of a hodgepodge. In the past weeks, I've been sitting down, which is bad. I've been going with outlines, which is bad. It just throws me completely off, out of my funk. I do a lot better just impromptu and talking about stuff here and there. So this is how it's going to go. We're going to try this way, see if it works better. So far, feels better. We'll see. All right. So I already showed you the ginger tamari sauce, and we're going to dump a whole bunch of that in there, and we're going to cook up some of these veggies first. So we'll turn on the stove, get this open, and dump it out. Now, I'm going to use probably half of this bottle. Make sure it's this. There's a lot of ginger in here, so it kind of settles on the bottom. You got to shake it up a little bit. There you go. And here's a fun fact. Do you ever know how you can put half a bottle in without measuring half a bottle? Because you can't really tell that way, because it's big and thick down here and skinny up there. Oh, look, it's symmetrical that way. Oh, that's how you can tell it's half a bottle. There's a fun fact for the day. You probably already knew that, but that's okay. So here we are, heating that up, and while that's heating up, I'm going to chop up the onions. I have 2 whole onions here. I've already chopped it in half to save us all a little bit of time, and I've peeled off the skin. Now, onions are really good for you, and the foods that I'm going to be using here are going to be negative fat foods, which means the more you eat of these foods, the more fat you burn off. You can actually eat yourself skinny. I challenge you, in fact, to try to overeat these foods. Try to get fat off these foods. That's my challenge to you. Overeat them. See if you can get fat. Because the harder you try, the leaner you're going to get. I didn't get truly lean until I doubled my caloric intake. I used to be eating about 2,500 calories a day, and I was at about 9% body fat, which is plenty lean. No problem there, okay? I was perfectly happy with that. But in the spirit of experimentation, which I'm always doing every day, I thought, well, what's going to happen now if I bump that up? Because I was getting kind of bored of that. And it worked. I was happy. That's fine. Well, let's try something else then. So I bumped it up. I started eating different foods, and I really went for the foods that I had researched and found that I thought, just intuitively, because of their composition, would be negative fat foods. So I came up with a list. There's a list on the XGym website as well. And I decided to bump that up and increase my caloric intake and double it to like 5,000 calories. And I thought, well, okay, this is going to blow away conventional wisdom. Because conventional wisdom is calorie in, calorie out. The more calories you eat, the fatter you get, the less you exercise, the fatter you get, all this stuff. So I'd gotten my workouts down to a less than an hour a week, including cardio and weights. So I doubled my caloric intake, and I just got getting leaner and leaner and leaner, till finally I got down to, well, what I am now, about 5% body fat. So I cut my body fat almost in half by doubling my calories. Amazing. But it works, because it's not how much calories you eat, it's the kind of calories and the timing of those calories. So, we've got the tamari ginger in there, the onions in there, and now I'm going to put some balsamic vinegar in there, and I've got a chat question. Oh, nice. The chat person said, I like this way too. Yeah, this is a lot better. Okay, so I don't really measure stuff, but this has got a restricted flow nozzle here, so I just dump about that much in there. And we're going to put some olive oil. Olive oil is not bad either. Yes, it's 100% fat, but that's okay, because even though this stir fry is going to be technically considered high fat, we can't absorb any of this fat because of the negative fat foods in it. Remember, you need carbs to absorb fat. If you don't have carbs, you can't absorb the fat. I don't know why I put this in here. I already had cleaned it. But just to make sure, because I'm a closet microphobe. Oh, check this out. Look at my faucet. It's my new kitchen sink faucet. It's like one of those dishwasher things. I love it. I just put it in last week. I'm so excited because it rocks. Okay. So we start stirring as it's frying, hence the name stir fry. And here we go. So just to make sure stuff doesn't burn, I put the onions in there first because I like them to be nice and cooked and translucent and all that stuff. And so now we go with the organic Southwest taco seasoning. Now here's another interesting fact. Salt is not as bad as everybody cracks it up to be. Did you know that salt is less responsible for blood pressure than carbs? It's true. If you really want to take your blood pressure down, you'll take your carbs down. Now, I'm not bashing carbs. I get plenty of carbs. It's the kind of carbs that's important. It's the starchy carbs, the sugar carbs, stuff like that you gotta stay away from. I was at the bank just a couple of days ago, and the teller offered me some Valentine's candy. There's some of those, those Valentine's hearts. And immediately my reflex response was, no thanks, I'm sugar free. And she goes, oh really? I go, yeah, I've been sugar free for a couple of years now. And it's just amazing how different I feel. Did you know that sugar actually causes you to catch colds and flu? Viruses, cancer, all the bad stuff lives off sugar. So if you want to stay away from colds and flu and you want to prevent feeding cancer, stay away from sugar. You know what that is? That's asparagras. That's good stuff. Oh, here's another chat question. How finely diced are you cutting the onions? Not very finely diced. I could cut them finer, but you can see, here's one. That's not super fine, but it sogs down, and so it's not a real big deal in the end. So I'm taking a little bit extra time here, so I'm going to turn my heat down a little bit. And now I'm going to chop up the asparagus. Asparagus is a negative fat food. Onions are a negative fat food, but here's the real reason, or the real effect of negative fat foods is that the darker the green, the more negative fat it is. So onions are not a high negative fat food, but they are negative fat. Asparagus is more negative fat than onions are. And I'm putting in the vegetables first that are most coarse and dense, so they can cook down, because they take a little bit more time to cook down. All right. Now we're going to put in another negative fat food. Celery. Yay for celery. Celery doesn't taste like much, does it? Celery's pretty watery, and it's pretty tasteless, but it's crunchy. It's the texture that's so wonderful about celery. And celery is a great scooper. So if you go to PCC and you pick up Follow Your Heart brand low-fat ranch, you can dip your celery sticks in that, and boy, is that ever yummy. So wow, this is a lot of celery. Okay, so we stick the celery in there. And that's pretty yummy. Oh, I'm getting that all over the floor. That's okay. We'll clean up later. You won't have to watch me do that though. Okay, so mix that in there. Stir that a little bit. Now, boy, those onions are really soaking up the turmeric ginger sauce. So So I'm going to put some more balsamic vinegar in there. You know, and that, frankly, that's what makes it taste the best to me, is the balsamic vinegar, because this vegetable, the vegetables just soak this stuff up, and you really get that taste in there, and it's really strong, and it's like candy. You know what? After the last time I made this, I brought it to work in a big, huge Tupperware thing, and I heated it up the first couple times, and then the next time I had it client in about 5 minutes. I didn't want to take the time to heat it up, and I just ate it cold. It was so good because of this balsamic vinegar. It's amazing. And the celery, I'm going to show you one thing here. Okay, I'm back. Celery and peanut butter. Everybody loves celery and peanut butter. But you say, oh, PJ couldn't possibly be recommending peanut butter because there's so many carbs and it's fat. And remember, when you combine carbs with fat, that's the problem. Carbs with protein is no problem. It's the carbs with the fat that's the problem. But look at this. PB2. Can you see that? PB2. Can you see what's in there? It's powdered peanut butter. And in this powdering process, they squeeze all the fat out of it. So instead of 14 grams of fat per serving, what you got here is 2 tablespoons as a serving. You got 2.8 grams of fat. Wow! Instead of 14, you got 2.8. Carbs are 3.7 and protein is 4.3 per serving. Protein is the highest number on here. So if you're a peanut butter freak and you have to have peanut butter, go to bellplantation.com, bellplantation.com, and get PB2. And then you make it back into peanut butter, because it comes in powder. You make it into peanut butter with water. Just mix water in it. And yeah, I know, if you're a peanut butter connoisseur, it's not going to be 100% yummy, as good as regular peanut butter. But it's really good. Okay, so 80%. But it's worth it for all the savings that you're getting off that fat reduction and carb reduction, because remember, it's the carbs and the fat combination that is the issue. Okay, stir a little bit more here. Yummy in my tummy. Oh, this is good stuff. Okay, now I've got the beans all ready to go in the food processor here. So these are just organic string beans. Remember, everything I cook with is always organic, because with conventional vegetables, or any food for that matter, you're getting a lot of pesticides in there, and with conventional meat you're getting hormones, antibiotics, a lot of crap. So you don't need that stuff, because your body sees those things as toxins, and it stores toxins in your fat cells. So stay away from the non-organic stuff, the toxic stuff, because when you store up those toxins in your fat cells, guess what happens? When it's time for the body to burn off fat, it sees those toxins in those fat cells and it says, I don't think I want to release that back out. I want to protect this guy and keep him in the fat, and I'm just not going to burn any fat off. So it makes it harder to lose fat when you're toxic, when your cells are toxic. But when you're cleansed with organic food, and by the way, you don't need to go out and get a cleansing kit or any of those cleansing systems. That's just a waste of money. Eat clean and that's a cleanse. Especially dark green vegetables, because they're a lot of nutrient dense and a lot of fiber and stuff like that. It just cleans you right out. So here we go, food processor. Do pulsing so it doesn't turn into soup. And the reason I do my green beans in the food processor and not with a knife is because it's so much faster, and chopping up little green beans and trying to line them up in a row and make them cooperate is a big pain in the neck. So this is a better deal. I'm going to use this food processor for a couple other things here too. And keep in mind, this goes a lot faster when I'm not talking, but it's a lot more fun doing it this way when I'm talking. So this is getting pretty full, and I underestimated the size of what I was doing here a little bit, so my pan's filling up. I might not be able to put in everything I had planned on putting in here, but I make it different every time anyways, so that's okay. Check this out. These little peppers, these little organic peppers, these are pretty yummy. And they're not hot, they're just, they're sweet. They're so good. But I'm going to leave them out this time, just for the room in here, because what I would rather put in there, red bell pepper. These have way more vitamin C than an orange. And without the sugar, because fruit has sugar, remember? That's the carb thing, carb-fat combination we talked about. A lot of carbs in fruit. Fruit's good for you too, but it's one of those moderation things. It's not a free food like the dark green vegetables are. And it's not a negative fat food like vegetables are, most vegetables. So, here's another chat question. PJ, I've been using PB2 since you recommended it several months ago. Please let everyone know it doesn't contain the sugar of Jif, which is why it doesn't taste the same. Good point. It's not packed with sugar like Jif, and that's my point, is it's not packed with sugar. Sugar's bad for you. Sugar feeds colds, flu, bacteria, and cancer. So you want to stay away from sugar whenever possible, especially Jif, because it's got a lot of other stuff in there, toxins and fake stuff, and chemicals and things that shouldn't be in your body anyways, that all store in your fat cells and makes it harder to lose that fat, remember? Okay, so this is turning out very nicely. So we're going to put some of those bell peppers in there. And, the other thing with the PB2. If PB2 isn't sweet enough and you want sugar in it, check this out. Can you read that? This is erythritol. You can get this at Whole Foods or PCC, and it's like sugar. It's a sugar alcohol, but it's a natural sugar alcohol. Or you can go with stevia if you like the taste of stevia, or you can go with Truvia if you don't like the taste of stevia, because Truvia is a combination of these two things, erythritol and stevia. And it takes the aftertaste. Some people think that stevia has an aftertaste to it, takes that out of it. So the combination's good. What I'm going to use for the stir fry is erythritol. So let's put some of that in there. And I just shake it in there like sugar, and it sweetens it right up. It really does taste like sugar. It's yummy. Oh, that's good stuff. That's good stuff. So, mix that in there, stir it up a little bit so it's frying. Alrighty. Now, carrots. Now, carrots are not a dark green, but they are a negative fat vegetable. They are mildly negative fat, not violently negative fat like the darker green vegetables. So, I love carrots. We're going to put carrots in the food processor because I don't want to line these little guys up either and chop them individually. There we go. A lot of vitamin A, good for your eyeballs. Okay. Ooh, that's good stuff. Watch out, these blades are really sharp. I haven't yet cut myself, but I've come close lots of times. Okay, bell pepper. Okay, here's a pet peeve of mine. Can I just tell you a pet peeve? See the sticker on that bell pepper? You can't peel these stickers off without leaving a gummy residue. So I always have to chop them off, and it ticks me off because there's that much of the bell pepper that I have to throw away because of the stupid sticker. So you bell pepper people, would you please solve this issue and use a sticker that you can just peel off? My plea to you. Okay, so chop off the end of that. And normally I cut around the edges, but this is kind of dirty. I don't feel like washing it, so I'm just going to chuck it. And here we go with the rest of it. And then the top one usually has that middle part with all the seeds on it, so you pop that out and throw it away. There's a little bit left in the second section there. Give this another stir now that I put the carrots in there. And I think to save time, I'm going to use the food processor again for the bell peppers. I put 2 big bell peppers in here because it's so good for you with all that vitamin C. More than fruit, remember. Good stuff. Alright. Chop that baby up. Stick them in there. You got to do the pulsing chopping with the bell peppers. Move it around a little bit there too, because they can get really soupy really fast because it's such a high water content. And that's pretty much done. There's some bigger pieces I'm going to have to chop by hand because I don't want to go any further or it's going to be pepper soup. And that's no good. Crunchy stir fry is a lot more fun than soupy stir fry. So you gotta watch your choppage action and make sure it's the right action. Okay. So give this another stir, and this is not a vegan stir fry. So far it is, but there's no protein in here. So where do you think I'm going to get the protein? My favorite source, grass-fed beef. I just bought a whole actually I bought a cow and a half. Thank you, Liz, for your mom's cow. An extra member recommended I was talking to her because everybody gets an initial consultation for nutrition, and then I check up with them regularly. I make sure everything's going good. And so when I met Liz in her initial consultation, she mentioned, I was talking about grass-fed beef, and she goes, oh, my mom has a farm, and she has cows. She has a she raises grass-fed beef. I go, no way, you're my new best friend. And so she said, I think we have one right now. And so I go, no way, call her or see. And she did call her, and she did see, and she did have one. And so Chuck and I went in on it together. He's another XGEM member. And as you can see, I really don't have much of a life outside of XGEM. But I don't want one because I have so much fun at XGEM. That's all I need. And so I went up, picked up the cow, and oh, it's tasty, yummy. It's defrosting right here in the other sink. That's the best way to defrost something. Instead of using your microwave, which can denature the proteins, there's another fun fact for you. If you cook things in a microwave, you will denature. It gets too hot at certain points in the food, and you will actually denature a lot of the vitamins, and you'll denature a lot of the protein. So use your microwave to reheat food only, and use it to disinfect sponges, but that's it. So, not to cook. And, okay, here's the fun part. Jalapenos. Just kidding. These are hot. So, what we do with jalapenos is we chop them up a little bit, put them in the food processor, because we're going to need these in little tiny pieces. Now, if you don't like spicy food, leave these out. But I do like spicy food. And the wonderful thing about jalapenos is they are a green that is a negative fat food. And they temporarily increase your metabolism while your body is burning them off. Now, it's not as a huge metabolic increase, but it's significant. And every little bit helps, right? So, here's a little bit of help. Okay, so we're going to keep these moderate size chunks. So it's just coarsely chopped, and that's going to give it the kick, the little spicy kick. Woohoo! Yeah, I like that kick. Good stuff. Maynard. Okay. There we go with that. Let's stir up a little bit here. And we're pretty much done. So I'm going to be dumping all this in my big huge stainless steel bowl out of my big huge frying pan. And the onions are done. They went in first. They've been cooking a while here. Now the other thing is you really can't overcook this stuff because I'm not going to drain anything off. When you're cooking, remember that you will cook off vitamins from stuff. But that's okay because as long as you're eating that water, you're going to be getting those vitamins. Some of them are destroyed with the heating process, but I'm cooking on pretty low heat, so that's protecting a lot of them. And so most of the nutrients are getting in here. Now, the other thing that I usually do is I put broccoli in there and I put spinach in there. And I don't have room right now, so I'm going to skip those, and that'll make it different from the last time I ate it, and that's good for the variety because I like to have that too. But I want to emphasize that broccoli and spinach are the most negative fat foods that I would be using here tonight because they're darker green than anything else I've used. The darker green the veggie, the more negative fat it is. So you're looking for like collard greens, Swiss chard, broccoli, spinach. The dark green veggies are the best. And the more you eat of those, the leaner you get. I eat tons of broccoli. I get 17 bags of broccoli a week. Actually, I just bumped it up to 20 because I was running out of 17. And I get it from spud.com. And that's what it looks like. 10-ounce bags. So, and then I get 4 or 5 bags of spinach. Yummy. Spud.com. If you're an XGym member, come to me for a coupon because I can get you a coupon at Spud. So if you're not already a Spudder, you will be able to join up for a discount. So be sure and ask me for a coupon. I have them at the XGym, all ready to give out. Okay, so there's all the veggies. They're all cooked up. Now we're going to be, you know what? No. Okay, the hamburger's defrosted. So I'm going to take my big huge frying pan and I'm going to empty it out into my big huge aluminum bowl, or actually stainless steel. Aluminum isn't good for you. Stainless steel is. Because stainless steel doesn't leach off any of itself, where aluminum does. And you don't want to have aluminum or any metals in your system. Mercury is another one that's common. And mercury is often found in fish. And I just don't want to burn my counter here. So fish, especially the fish that live a long time, the old fish, tend to build up high amounts of heavy metals. So tuna, halibut, the big fish, the bottom fish, those fish that live the longest store up the most heavy metals. So younger fish, you know, like the sardines and the young salmon and fish like that don't have as much metals in them, and they're a lot more, a lot healthier. So stick with those. Stick with the younger fish. And wild fish. Never go farmed fish. Wild fish are the best. Always stick with the wild fish. So I'm putting all the meat in here. And I order, when I talk to the butcher and order my cows, I ask him to give me 1 pound packets. Because when you put 1 pound packets in a sink of warm water, they thaw way faster than 2 pound packets or bigger. So I've learned that with experience, and I always make sure that I order 1 pound packets. And in 40 minutes, I can thaw 7 pounds of hamburger. Okay. Ha ha ha. That's 7 pounds of hamburger. That's good stuff. Woo-hoo-hoo. So we're going to start chopping up this hamburger, and I'm also going to put some stuff in here. I'm going to put some more balsamic vinegar in there, and I'm going to put some more, I don't need olive oil because hamburger is high fat. Now, this is grass-fed beef, so this is not as high fat as regular beef. This is much leaner than regular conventional beef. And it's also much cleaner because there's no antibiotics in here, there are no hormones, and there are no pesticides. And with organic grass-fed beef, there's no fertilizer. Now, a lot of the grass-fed beef doesn't say organic, it just says grass-fed beef. The reason that it doesn't say organic or doesn't have the organic seal is because that farmer hasn't earned the organic seal because they use fertilizer. Now, don't let that scare you off because there's good fertilizer and there's bad fertilizer, and I guarantee you, if a farmer is going to the trouble of raising his beef grass-fed, he's also going to go to the trouble of safe fertilizer. So essentially all that he's using is nitrogen on the grass because he's in a place, he's got a small farm, or he's in a place where it's more difficult, and he just needs to use that fertilizer. So no big deal. All right, so I got half a bottle of this Tamari ginger left. Did I get another? Jif, yeah. So I'm going to pour the rest of this in here. Yummy. And then I'm going to pour some more balsamic vinegar in here because I just love the taste of balsamic vinegar. You cannot beat this. Woohoo! Oh yeah. Okay, so my diet is very high protein and it's very high fat. And since I increased my calories and since I increased my fat and just everything except carbs, I got way leaner. So don't let fat scare you off. Fat is not the culprit. It's fat with carbs that is the culprit. Now, keep in mind when you're on this kind of diet, which is, by the way, what we were designed to eat. We were designed to eat meat, and we were designed to eat some vegetables that are easy to cultivate and grow. So only until the last 5,000, 10,000 years tops did we start to eat refined carbs, meaning grown and cooked in ovens, because we didn't have ovens. A few thousand years ago is really when we invented the whole oven process, and it's only been hundreds of years that we've had refined carbs. And remember, we have become the fattest society in the planet because of all these refined carbs. I'm going to turn up the stove here because I can watch this a little bit more carefully. And we're only dealing with just this one ingredient instead of all the other stuff. Now, I'm a garlic freak, so I'm going to put some of that in here too. And this is just the Costco granulated garlic. Yum, yum, yum. And I don't measure this either, but I just kind of spread it out over the top. And there we go. And another really yummy additive is the Costco organic no salt seasoning. Can you see that? That's pretty yummy. And it's got lots of different things in it. I put a lot of this on in here. That's good stuff. And let's see, what else do we have in here? How about some black pepper? That sounds good. Just for the heck of it. I haven't done that before, so that'll be fun. And I have all these spices up here. Turmeric. Ooh, turmeric. It's a brain food. That's good stuff. This is why the East Indians don't get Alzheimer's. So, turmeric. I don't like the taste of it, but wow, it's good for you. And we already have ginger in the sauce, so I don't need that. Let's put some... another brain food. Let's put some cumin in there. That looks pretty yummy. Okay, that should do it. And let's mix this stuff up, fry it a little bit. I got way too much here in the pan again, so it's a little bit hard to work with. 7 pounds of beef. 7 pounds of beef are in here. 7 pounds. Why 7? PJ, why 7? Why? It's because 7 is my favorite number, and that's the only reason. And that's why I'm willing to struggle with too much beef in the pan, because I like 7. And it's worth the struggle to stick with my favorite number. So, like I say, this is high fat, but not nearly as high fat as conventional beef. And here's the thing to remember. This fat is good for you. Wow, this is good fat. Conventional beef fat will kill you. It's super saturated, and it's got nothing good about it. In fact, remember when I told you that fat stores our toxins? So when you eat toxic foods, when you eat especially processed foods with lots of additives and preservatives and dyes and sugar and high fructose corn syrup, that's one of the worst. Your body stores all that stuff in your fat cells. Makes it harder to lose fat. It does the same thing with the cow. With the conventional cow, the cow is eating the fertilizers, the cow is eating the, getting injected with the hormones and the antibiotics, and the cow's body sees that stuff as toxic too, and it puts it in the fat cells. So you get a higher fat animal, and the fat that you're getting out of that animal is toxic when you're talking about conventional cows. Stay away from conventional cows. Go to grass-fed because it's clean fat, and it's a different kind of fat. It's high omega-3s, as higher than fish. So if you're looking for omega-3s, you don't have to have fish all the time. You can have grass-fed beef to get those. And also, you're looking at high amounts of CLA, conjugated linoleic acid. Super important for fat loss. This is why a high-fat food like grass-fed beef is a negative fat food. The more you eat, the more fat you burn off. It's because of the CLA in it. CLA. So remember the CLA. Now there's supplement, CLA supplements that I do not recommend, and CLA is no new news. This is, bodybuilders and people that are trying to lose fat fast for events or contests or something will take a CLA supplement, but I would not recommend that because a supplement is made in a lab, and if it's made in a lab, the body says, oh, this isn't natural, oh, this must be a toxin, or it's plastic, or something fake, and so then it stores it in the fat cells, and it does funky stuff with it, and then you get funky. So stay away from supplements whenever possible. You don't need them. As long as you're eating balanced diet, you don't even need vitamins. As long as you're getting enough dark green vegetables, broccoli is a multivitamin. Broccoli is fantastic. Broccoli has so many more vitamins than vitamins. It's that, and here's the kicker. When you're talking about getting your vitamins through food, you're talking about getting the proper ratios. Because when you take vitamins, those vitamins are not in the right proportion. Certain vitamin companies claim that they try to do that, but it's just not natural. They're extracting, they're reinserting, they're doing lots of stuff, and it's just not a natural way to do it. But by default, food always has the vitamins in the right proportion. God created food that way. So it would have naturally the right proportions, because that's how He intended us to get our nutrients, not through labs and concocted vitamins. So this is coming along pretty well. I don't need any erythritol in this. I just put that in with the other stuff. And I'm sure there's some other things maybe that I forgot or didn't have room for, but you know what? You gotta, every time that you do a stir fry, it should just be a fun thing. And you can follow my recipe to here tonight that you've seen, or you can come up with your own stuff. Give me your ideas. People come to me at the X Gym every week with good ideas. Hey, I saw this on the site. Oh, by the way, the website for our recipes, X Gym recipes, is xgym.com. No, I don't know. But here's how to get to it. You go to xgym.com, and then you go up to the top where it says extras, XTRAS. You put your mouse on that, and then the drop-down menu comes down. Then you click Hard Bod Cafe. That's our recipe page, because you eat those recipes and you will turn into a hard bod. In fact, people that stick exclusively to that, and there's plenty of variety on there, so you can eat only from that page. You would just be shocked at how fast the fat flies off you, and gaining muscle at the same time. This is the amazing thing about the way that we eat and the way that we train at the X Gym is the oh boy, yeah, this is full pan. We lose fat and gain muscle at the same time. Now, we lose fat fast too, and we gain muscle fast, up to a certain point, because it's mostly toning. Nobody bulks up at the X Gym because we've designed our program specifically to prevent that. But when you do traditional training and you lose fat fast, you'll always lose muscle at the same time. But we blow away the traditional training methods and the results of traditional training, and we don't have that problem. So we lose fat and we gain muscle, or at least we hold the muscle. I was just talking to a woman yesterday who just started at the X Gym, and she's got tons of muscle. And I said, listen, you don't need to gain any muscle. Let's just try to keep what you got, because we get this fat off you, and you're going to look like a fitness model with all that muscle. It's just going to be amazing. So, and same thing with another woman on Thursday. So, you know, it just kind of depends on your goals. And, you know, a lot of guys come to me at the X Gym and they say, well, you know, I do want to gain muscle. I say, that's great. But hopefully you're not going to want to turn into a bodybuilder, because that's not what we do. We create bodies that look like the cover of fitness magazines, not the cover of Flex magazine. So if that's what you're out for, you want to look like a fitness guy and not a bodybuilder, we're your gym. If you want to look like a bodybuilder, then you're going to have to stick with goals, and you're going to have to commit to 5 to 10 hours a day of strength training, because that's what they do. Bodybuilders are gym rats. They have to invest that amount of time, because traditional strength training is really good at bulking people up. That's what it was invented for back in 1891. Everybody wanted to be big and strong like Eugene, the guy that invented it, Eugene Sandow. And so it's still really good for that. And if people want to bulk up and they want to be a bodybuilder, they got to put the time in and they got to commit. But if people want to just get fit and they want to get toned and they want to look like a fitness person, then an hour a week at the X Gym instead of 5 to 10 hours a day is all it takes, or less than an hour a week. The other thing about the X Gym is as people get in better shape, they have to work out less. My strength workouts take about 15 minutes, and my cardio workouts take 8 to 10 minutes, depending on who I'm doing it with. So, go figure, you know? Big time saver. Way more effective. Okay, so the meat's done. Now, I'm going to drain this, not because I'm trying to get rid of the fat, but because I'm trying to get rid of the water. Meat is 75% water. And some of the fat's going to drain off too, but most of the fat's going to stay in the meat itself. So I'm certainly not making anything low fat here. So put the little colander in the sink. I need a big colander. I have a big pan and a small colander. I need a big colander. Okay, so I'm going to have to scoop this out so I don't spill it out into the sink outside of the colander, because this is so precious. This beef, oh, this is so precious. This is like gold to me. You can't, I can't even, I almost get emotional just working with the stuff and smelling it. It's just, oh, it's the best. Okay, so there's a little bit. Full up, get some of that water out of there. And that's just so I don't get too soupy with my stir fry here. Oh, wow, that's good stuff. And so when you're talking about conventional beef, you are cooking off a lot of fat. And I don't know if you can see it from there, but there's a lot of moisture in here, and that's just water. Because I'm talking about a relatively low fat meat here compared to traditional. Most of that moisture is water, and if I dumped it all in my big bowl, then I would have a soupy stir fry, and nobody's a fan of soupy stir fries. Oh, yum! Oh, so yummy! Okay, so that should do it for that. Drain that off. Get rid of that water. Oh, I can smell the seasonings. Oh, too good. And we're done. How about that? Not bad. So just stir this up. Get it all worked in. Wow, look at that. Oh. So I got 7 pounds of meat. Some of that's cooked off, so I might be down to around 5 pounds, just because of the water that got cooked off. I got about 4 or 5 pounds of veggies in there. Oh man. Oh, and this is going to hold me for 2 days, would be my prediction. I told you I eat a lot. I eat a ton because I love food. I am a self-proclaimed overeater, and I'm not ashamed of it, and I'm proud of it. And it's so good. I actually eat more protein than I can possibly absorb. And no, it's not hard on your kidneys. Only if you have kidney problems is it an issue. So that's a myth. And that myth was started from some kidney doctors that did a study on patients with kidney problems and found that protein was a strain. So if you have kidney problems, yeah, it's probably an issue. If you don't, no big deal. I'm consuming 400 to 500 grams of protein a day. No, I can't absorb it. And yes, I'm wasting a lot of that in the toilet. But it's okay because it tastes so good. And I just love to eat. I love to eat. So if you want to get lean and you don't want to spend all week exercising, eat like this. If If you're an overeater, fine. Eat off the Hard Bod Cafe on the XGym website. Oh, look at that. It's heavy and it's yummy and it's, oh man, that's a stir fry. So then I take out one of my big old huge old Tupperware containers. Actually, they're all full. I gotta empty some out. This is a marinara sauce that another recipe I got from Liz. So thanks for that. And wow, that's yummy. Oh, and here's something. The other day, I didn't feel like cooking. I was kind of bored and tired, and I didn't want to do any work. And so I just boiled a bunch of eggs. Hard-boiled eggs. That's a good protein source. And it's okay to eat the yolk. Yolk's not a bad thing. As long as you don't have carbs with that yolk, you're not going to absorb that fat. And no, it's not going to put your cholesterol over the top. It's the carbs that have more to do with cholesterol than cholesterol. And blood pressure. People that go on low carb diets also reduce their blood pressure. And okay, thank you. Somebody, if you haven't read this on your screen, the address for the recipe page is xgym.com/hardbodcafe.htm. There you go. Thank you very much. So, text me any more questions you have. We've got a couple minutes left here. And I'll answer those if you have them. And if you don't have questions, then you can email me, pj@xgym.com. And so far, this was a lot more fun for me, this format. And maybe next week we can cook something else, or maybe demonstrate some exercises or something. But I'm not a sitter. I just don't like to sit down. Even when I'm in my office on the computer, I like to stand and do it. I put my computer up here on the counter often and work from here while I'm standing. Sitting's really bad for your back. So if you can ever avoid sitting, even at your office, if you can ask for some way to boost your computer up, or at least your keyboard, so you can stand instead of sit, way better on your back. You're going to have about 5 times less pressure on your low back standing than you will sitting. Sitting will destroy your low back, especially sitting for a long time. So if you have to sit, what I recommend is put an alarm, get a watch with a countdown alarm, set it for 30 minutes. And it automatically resets. Every 30 minutes it beeps at you, and that's your reminder to stand up and do some of this and do some stretching or walk to the water cooler. That's the other point. Water, you've got to be hydrated. You've got to get tons and tons of water. And if you're dehydrated, you're not going to burn fat. Remember, we talked about toxic fat cells. Can't burn fat if your fat cells are toxic. Can't burn fat if you're dehydrated either. So clean out your fat cells, get your water. And how much water? Well, if you take your body weight in pounds, divide that number in half, that's how many ounces of water you should be drinking a day. For most people. For people that are 100 to 250 pounds, that works great. For people over or under that, it might be too much or too little, but that's a general ballpark for people. And the best water is reverse osmosis filtrated. So get the filter that's reverse osmosis, and the best source for that, or company, is wetcoolers.com. That's what we have at all the X gyms, and people freak at our water. In fact, it tastes so good, they stop off on their way home from work just to fill up their water bottles, because our water is so much better than any other water, including any bottled water. You don't want bottled water because then you're dealing with the whole plastic thing. But wetcoolers.com has the best reverse osmosis filtration system, and they have sterilized water, because they have a patented system that sterilizes the water as well. So it's clean as well as completely filtered. There's another chat question. Conventional stir fry uses Chinese veggies. Are there any negative fat Chinese veggies? Yes. Remember, it's still the dark green veggies that are the best, but other vegetables are also negative fat. Most vegetables are negative fat. Most fruits are positive fat. So there's the distinction between fruits and veggies. And most conventional meat is positive fat food. But wild game meat and grass-fed meat is negative fat food. So there's the distinction of those. But you can also get organic chicken, and that's a negative fat food, and most wild fish is a negative fat food because it's not going to have the high metals in it, especially the young fish, that would make it harder to lose fat. And so we got another yes, demonstrate exercises. Cool. So got to vote for that, so we'll do that next week. But whoever typed that, if you could email me the exercises that you want to see demonstrated, that'd be great. Also, if you go to my book site, crackingyourcode.com, or you just go to xgym.com, click on the book, that'll take you to crackingyourcode.com. Go down to the bottom of that home page, and there's a link for the video page. Study those videos, because those videos demonstrate 3 routines you can do and 3 different protocols. Remember, we invented the multi-protocol concept. So multi-protocols will make you toned and make you stronger without bulking you up. Whereas sticking with the same protocols like traditional training will bulk you up. So go to that site, check out those videos as well, and you'll get 3 different routines. One you can do at your home with no equipment, another one you can do with a ball and dumbbells at home, and another one you can do at your gym. So check out those routines and email me questions on any of those exercises, or if you want to see other exercises, email me those, and hopefully you'll pick ones that don't involve machines, and we can talk through the ones with machines. But if I can do them here in a home, that's best for people watching these webcasts anyways. So text me some of those, or email me some of those, and then we'll demonstrate some of those exercises. So, thanks for tuning in and logging on, and we'll see you again next week.